don't even bother.
So I feel for the past, I would say, quite a few months, that we've been in somewhat of, and I don't want to scare anybody, but I feel like we've been in somewhat of a spiritual warfare.
100%.
And that has been something that has only gotten worse. I don't think that, I'm not tying this necessarily to like what's been going on in politics, for example. I'm tying this to the blatant good versus evil that is apparent in everything. And so the comfort I'm finding out of this, or in this, is I have my faith that I was raised with. I know a lot of people, especially let's say after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, a lot of people started opening their Bibles again, going back to church, and that was a beautiful thing. But I feel like it's so much deeper than that. So for you, for example, for someone who wasn't born baptized Catholic and you came into the church, I'd love to hear a little bit about that if you'd like to share it.
Sure. So we're going to go way back. So most people will hear me say I was raised by wolves. And there are a lot of layers to that. But for this context, we'll say I was raised with a lot of New Age stuff. I was definitely not raised as a Christian in the actual definition of that. Like, we celebrated Christmas, but it was a gift-giving holiday. It had nothing to do with Jesus's birthday. It had nothing to do with any of that. And I mean, people definitely tried to take me to church, but I just couldn't get there. I grew up around a lot of hyper-religious people. Like, I went to high school with a ton of Mormons, but that was a world where you could be friends with them until high school. But then once we all started high school, if you weren't going to seminary with them at 6 a.m., you weren't friends with them anymore. And so that really wasn't where it was at for me either. And I have known so many just crazy hypocritical Christians. And that's how it felt when I was growing up, because I didn't fit in where I grew up. Like, if you know, you know. I'm not going to get into the mean girl story of my life, but I just didn't fit in there. And so that it just wasn't it for me. But I was always really fascinated by religions. And I'm going to say I always believed in God. Always. I didn't know Jesus necessarily. I knew of him because, like I said, super fascinated by religions. I took every possible religion class I could take in college, to the point where if I had graduated college, I would have minored in religious studies. I took every possible class. I thought they were so fascinating, just in the human behavior aspect of it. What leads somebody to believe this versus this? And just how whole religions came out of other whole religions. I mean, I took classes and studied on Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, like all of it, because it's so interesting to me. And the one that I always was the most fascinated by was Catholicism, because from a purely historical standpoint, that is the church that Jesus built. And so most people agree Jesus was a historical figure. But if you're really believing that Jesus is part of the Trinity, then that's his church. And so I always just kind of held it apart. It was so interesting to me, the traditions and the symbolism and just all of it. And my Catholic grandpa did take me to Mass a few times, and that felt more real than, as he called it, my grandma's singing and dancing church. That was like Six Flags Over Jesus, right? Like, I just couldn't get there at that place. But I liked going to Mass, even though I didn't understand any of it. So as a writer and an editor, I'll tell you that there was so much foreshadowing in my early life that it was really shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody that I ended up at the Catholic Church. But I had a pretty profound experience where when I was in my 20s, I had just decided that I was going to be single, and that was fine. I'll just have a lot of dogs and I'll just live my life. And I had a very profound experience where God came to me and said, nope, that's not your path. And I don't hear voices. I have a very ridiculous inner monologue already, but I can tell when it's my inner monologue versus God coming and telling me something. And it doesn't happen very often. I wish it did. But no, that's not your path. You're going to meet somebody and he's going to change your life. And that was on a Monday. And I met my husband on a Friday. And he's a cradle Catholic. And so it was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go to mass with you. Help me learn, explain to me what's going on. And he would joke that for a very long time when I was going to mass with him, I sat in that pew like I was being pulled over by the police. Keep your hands visible. You don't make any sudden movements. And he was like, would you calm down? Everyone here is nice. And I was like, but they know I'm not Catholic. And he was like, they're not drug sniffing dogs. Calm down. But we just kept going and I felt good there. Then we get married and he tells me before we get married, it's very important to him. You can do whatever you want, Megan, but if we have children, my children will be raised Catholic and we will go to mass together as a family, whether you're Catholic or not. So I thought about that and decided I was okay with that. And at that time I had my work mom, who I've talked about before, Cindy, and she was an unbelievable Christian. She just lived her faith. She wasn't going around condemning anybody. She wasn't being hypocritical. She wasn't proselytizing. She just was herself, and her faith was the center of her whole being. And so she did it in such a beautiful way that she actually brought a ton of people to Jesus. It was very cool. So she had already been preparing my heart for this. And I had long talks with her about what that all looked like and what that meant. And so I decided, okay, that's fine. So fast forward to I now have 2 kids under 2. And after my second was born was the absolute hardest, darkest time of my life for a lot of reasons. I was not prepared to be a mom at all. In a lot of ways, it rocked me. And looking back, I can tell you, I feel pretty strongly that I've been tormented by demons my whole life. And I know for people who aren't familiar with that kind of terminology or those concepts, that sounds crazy as hell. But it is the fact of my life. So here I am in the absolute darkest, worst, hardest part of my whole life, which is really saying something when you know my story. And I would sit in my baby's bedroom and nurse her to sleep at night. And I would just pray, like, God, you have to help me through this because I can't do it by myself. And the same sensation as what happened when I realized I wasn't going to be single for the rest of my life came over me. And again, I don't hear the words. I don't hear a voice talking to me, but it was just like this knowledge hit my heart. Like you're going to drop 20 textbooks on a hard floor. That impact of it hit my heart. The next step of your journey is to become Catholic. And I sobbed, just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And then the next day I called the lady at our church who's in charge of RCIA. And I went through probably one of the most comprehensive RCIA, which for those who don't know, it's the Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults. It's how you become Catholic because you don't get to just walk in the door and become Catholic. They really want to make sure that you know what you're saying yes to. And each parish gets to determine their own curriculum and all of that. And I'm going to tell you that mine was probably one of the most comprehensive in the whole country. She was incredible. It was a 9-month process, but I started that process in January and I didn't actually come into the church until Easter of the next year. So it was more than 9 months, but it was 9 months of classes. And I had several super profound experiences in there. And I just knew that I was in the right place because, again, if you know me, you know me walking into a room full of people by myself where I know one person who is the teacher of the class. It's not like I could sit with her. Like that makes me want to vomit. I am not that outgoing. And I walked in there and just started saying hi to people and just started talking to people. And that's so unlike me. And I was so comfortable there. And the rest is history, shall they say. It's been interesting because I have a lot more peace in my personal world, but it hasn't been easier. And I've talked with her a lot, and then she retired, and her heir to the becoming Catholic throne. I've talked to both of them a lot about people's journeys and what having faith in your life means. And it doesn't mean that anything's going to be easier. It often means it's harder. but you have more peace because you have something else to lean on rather than your own self. Because I've been trying to do my own life all by myself for, I think I was 36 at the time. And that's hard to do all by yourself. But it does feel like the devil makes life easy for the people who are with him. But the stronger your faith is, the harder he's going to fight you.
100%.
And so that's where I'm at now. And so I definitely feel like I am absolutely in the midst of spiritual warfare, which I probably have been my whole life. But now it's very clear.
If you think about the fact that the devil, what a win it would be for him to get someone to abandon God and their faith, to go over and join him. So, of course, he's going to attack those of us who have faith and who are resolute in our faith more, because it's not so easy. It's more of a challenge, but what a win it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about all of the people who have no faith, and that's what I've just been seeing it more and more, not even just since Charlie Kirk. I'm talking over the past few years.
Oh, yeah.
The whole abandonment and the, number one, the destruction of the family unit. There was a whole thing in 2020 that was actually on the BLM mission statement page, where it was the dissolution of the nuclear family. And then when people started recognizing it, they took it out real quick. They changed that. So you had that. You've got this whole fight with abortion.
Oh, yeah.
You have everything just with now the mutilation of bodies and being able to change your gender because you want to. You were born a certain way. And I do understand that there is this, it's a warfare probably in their own head, the people who are in that. But you were born a certain way, and to go destroy your body is back to your body as your temple. All of these, I feel, are wins for the devil, to be able to kill children, kill babies in the womb, to be able to just have no family units and everyone just kind of trying to survive on their own, but going rogue. And so when you are someone who walks with faith, not saying that we're perfect, because oh my gosh, so far from it, but that's the beauty, that knowing I have that ability to mess up in my own way of just trying to live my life and survive, and know that as long as I'm aware of it and I ask and I repent for that, that I will be forgiven, because that was already cleaned for me with Jesus's death.
Yep.
So you have a beautiful story. The fact that you went through all that, the fact that you were led to Catholicism, I will say, as a Catholic who's gone through all my sacraments when I was supposed to, but who's still a very much practicing Catholic, that's not the first religion I would expect people to run to, because it is so traditional, because it doesn't have bright lights and shiny things like a lot of these mega churches, right? Catholic is very sacramental and very reverent, I would say.
Everything, there's a reason for everything.
Yes.
Everything at the Mass is a symbolic reason. And I think that that's why, because Catholicism is growing. And that's why. Because people want the structure, and they want the tradition, and they want that stability. And I'll tell you, I know, I've talked to all kinds of people who are Catholic, and I know that the church is not perfect. The church was, is run now by humans, and humans aren't perfect, and I get that. But what I personally really love about it is that my faith gets to be mine. And if I absolutely eat it on my Lenten sacrifice and I mess up big time, I'm not getting kicked out. Nobody cares. Nobody really goes around going, what are you giving up for Lent? Because that's between you and God. That is your deal. I'm not out. I know we're called as Christians to evangelize people, but I'm not there. I've had so many conversations with God about it, because I've been around people who just wanted to jam it in, but didn't have the right words or the right approach or the right pitch or the right whatever. And I wasn't ready to hear it. And so I'm not doing that. I don't push my opinions on people. I don't do that. I get to just go and have my faith and my relationship with Jesus, and I get to teach my kids how to do that. And it's not as judgy as I thought it was. And it's not as judgy as other churches can be. I mean, shoot, we're drinking during the Mass. I know it's the real blood. I get it. But like, we're drinking during the Mass. We're not judging people, based on what they bring to the potluck. It's just,
I mean, some people are probably. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just humanity.
Yeah. But it just feels like there are other flavors of Christianity there that are a lot more judgmental.
Sure.
Or a lot more domineering. And I guess for people who don't know, that sounds crazy to say the Catholic Church isn't domineering because it's so huge. But it just has more structure than any other religion. Other religions have the same problems. Whole other flavors of Christianity have the same problems as the Catholic Church does, but they just don't have the structure to really run it up the chain. But, it just seems like, well, here's the church that Jesus built, and then somebody got mad at this one thing, so they made their own offshoot, and then somebody else got mad at this one other thing, so they made another offshoot. And I don't walk around going, oh, you're Baptist? Well, here's why you're wrong. I don't care. Even if I have whole people in my life who are not religious at all and wouldn't want to hear me ever talk about Jesus, and that's fine. Because I'm not going to unless they come to me and say, hey, can you tell me about this? And then I would love to. But I'm not going to shove it down anybody's throat.
The beauty of faith to me is being able to have that relationship with God, with Jesus. You've got your personal relationship. You have, yes, the Catholic Church is structured and you do all the things and there's prayers and there's a lot of order to it, which I love. But then there is something about just being able to have, and you had it, the conversations with God, that it's like, it's just very real, it's very raw, and it's very authentic. And that's what you're supposed to do. I think a lot of people think that Catholics are just this book following religion, that you have these prayers that we recite at Mass, but it is a personal relationship with God as well.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have that, I can't tell you how many times I'm constantly just having conversations with Jesus in my, out loud.
Oh, yeah.
To myself, but also out loud to Jesus. Because
absolutely.
I can't hold it all in. You learned, you can't hold it all in because number one, there's no place for it to go except internal. And then you're going to be doing this. You're going to be writhing internally.
Yep.
But if you're at least sharing it, you're stating the problem and you're saying, help me, then you will, it might not be tomorrow, but it will come. There will come a time where he does answer. He knows what you're going to say before you even say it, which is so wild to me.
Yeah.
When I think everything, by the time it enters my brain, oh, what if I say this? He already knew I was going to say all that. It's wild that I was going to go through that internal monologue. But this is the beauty of faith. And we walk by faith, not by sight, right? We can't see everything. But I feel lately, especially in the past few months, it's so, I want to say heartwarming, but it's so profound to watch other people open Bibles, go to church that they haven't been, start really researching and looking into it again because of what's been going on in the world for quite a few years.
Yep.
But more recently, and I think because it was so public from Charlie Kirk, it was so public that, of course, this is an attack on faith. This is an attack on everything. But then you look at other countries and you look at what's going on with this infiltration of Islam.
Yeah.
Even in the U.S. now.
Oh, yeah.
That is some scary shit.
It really is. And I will say, I feel like we have to put the caveat on that not all Muslims, but in general, Islam in general. Like if you're getting upset or you're getting offended, maybe look at why you're getting offended. Because like we've acknowledged our faith, the Catholic Church, is not perfect, but I don't take personal offense to that.
It's not my fault.
Something that I heard recently is that Christianity is a religion of invitation and Islam is a religion of imposition. And I think that is like the bottom line because we've talked about it. You can go and be Christian anywhere. You just bring your Bible and you be Christian. As a Catholic, yeah, you want to go and live somewhere where you're close to be able to go to Mass and fulfill your weekly Mass obligation. But you could still go and be a Christian just about anywhere, as long as it's not illegal. But for Muslims to really live as Muslims successfully in their community, they have to be in a predominantly Islamist society. And there really historically haven't been many of those, but they're getting there. And Islam, in their stated charter or doctrine or whatever, have said that their goal is political and national conquest. And I've heard people try to compare that to Christian missionaries, but it's just not the same, because missionaries go to try to help people. And I don't always agree with missionaries either. I still, as a baby Christian, have a hard time with that because it feels pushy to me. And we all know how I feel about being pushy. But going to help someone dig a well for their impoverished community so that they can have clean water, and then say, hey, also, would you like to learn about Jesus? Would you like to read this Bible with me? Is totally different than trying to conquer a nation to bend it to your will.
Well, if you look at what's happening in Nigeria, that is so insane. That is horrific that that's happening. And that, what was it, the Nigerian government was saying there's no massacre, there's none of this. When you look at all the stats of everything, who's being persecuted right now? It's the Christians.
It is. So according to Open Doors, more Christians are being killed for their faith in Nigeria than the rest of the world combined. And we're not hearing about it nearly as much as we should be.
It should be splashed everywhere. And you talk about a humanitarian tragedy, crisis, genocide, massacre, whatever it is. It's that, and we're not talking about it. That to me is too much. Here's my view. My view is our country was founded, the forefathers had Christian principles, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Some? Okay. Well, lightly. We also have freedom of religion.
Yeah.
In our Constitution. Freedom of religion, that's fine. I don't want to impose on your faith. But I don't want you to impose your cultural faith and expect that everyone changes the ways of the world to fit it.
Yeah.
You move to a country, you assimilate to that country. That's the way that migration and immigration has always worked. When my grandparents came here from Italy with nothing, they adopted the American way of life. They worked hard. They saved their money. My grandpa was in the army. They did so many things that, yes, they still had their own culture, but they didn't shove it in the community and expect that everyone was going to change the way of American life to fit them. And I find that we are changing a lot of stuff in this country to fit and accommodate other people. It's a whole slew of other issues just from the basic standpoint that we are too accommodating society, people, whatever your societal culture or the media or what's trending has taught you that it's okay to accommodate everyone. It's gone too fucking far. I'm done.
Well, it's like what we've talked about before with like, well, I'm gluten-free and I'm dairy-free and I'm nut-free. This is that, but 10x. It's out of control. And the beauty, one of the most beautiful things about America is that, yes, we were founded on Christian values and principles. However, you are free to practice or not practice that as you see fit. But it's all been twisted, probably in our lifetimes the most, in the name of tolerance, to try to accommodate people who are diametrically opposed to a Christian value system.
Or just to our way of life as Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, just even basically like that as the bare minimum.
Yeah. And they've admitted it. Here's the thing that is just blowing my mind is that imams, several of them, you can find videos of lots of different imams discussing their political strategy for a Western takeover. And it's working and people are just letting it happen. Lefties, come on. The people who are out there marching for gay rights, who are all about trans this and trans that and blah, 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 and women's this and that. It's so opposed to everything that Islam says. And they're the ones voting them in because they know that the progressive ideology is so quote unquote tolerant of everything that they will vote for them. but then it's like a bait and switch.
You literally are voting for the people who hate you.
Yeah.
So when you vote for shit like that and you're of that group, let's say, right? You're a group that they hate. Women, if you're gay,
Yeah.
whatever it is, they hate you. It's very open. This isn't a secret.
No.
That's why my mind was blown when I saw all the rallies with the parades for Queers for Palestine, because I thought, oh,
Meanwhile, they're throwing gay people off buildings in,
oh my
in
gosh,
Gaza.
you guys, let's not.
I know.
So I don't know if you maybe need to take a trip there. I 0 out of 10 probably would not recommend, but know what you're fighting for and what you're using your voice for. Because if it's someone who completely opposes everything that you are and you stand for, why would you go stand and fight for them? Fight for them to come into our country. There was something that I listened to that said years ago, Fremont School District eliminated pork products because there was such a large population of Muslims.
Were they forcing Muslims to eat pork products?
So that's my whole thing. I can appreciate that you're trying to accommodate, right, on the general scale. But I don't appreciate us having to accommodate. It's the same way I had told you in Italy. Schools were not allowing kids to eat pork products. So they couldn't bring sandwiches with prosciutto because it offended Muslim students. And I'm just thinking, I'm so sorry. Why are you infringing and why do they need to change their way of life? Because it starts with something small. If you can get someone or a group or a place or a city to change this for you, to accommodate you, then it's easy because they're proving that they can be rolled over in certain things in the name of tolerance and accommodation. And I am just over it. I live in America. If you come here, you should speak English. That's the native tongue. A lot of us know other languages. A lot of us learn other languages. But that's where I'm like, there is no shame in having pride to be American and being nationalist in that regard. That we want to protect who comes into our country. We've had open borders for so long that this is now what we have to deal with cleaning up this. But the problem is it's been allowed for so long and it is attacking us on every level. It's going to be coming even greater. And I'm talking on a spiritual level. It's already here.
Yeah.
You have such good versus evil of so many things. And I'm not saying that this is all Islam. I'm saying good versus evil in every aspect right now. When you turn on social media and you see grown ass adults celebrating and praising and partying over the fact that a Christian conservative speaker was assassinated on live stream television and they're cheering it on, you've completely been desensitized to everything. And that's a huge problem.
Were there people celebrating JFK getting shot? Probably not. And if they did, they had the common sense to keep it to themselves. Even Martin Luther King Jr. I'm sure there were still people who were not all about equal rights back then, but they probably weren't. I mean, obviously they didn't have TikTok, but like they weren't going to go out in the streets and throw a party. It's just gross behavior.
I think with freedom of speech, what we learned for Charlie Kirk, that was a huge lesson to everyone who thinks that they're immune and that the Constitution of the country that you say you hate, because there's all those Americans who hate the country where you should leave, but all those people with their freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences.
No.
And they all found that out real quick when they were getting those videos sent to their employers.
Yeah.
When preschool teachers were being disgustingly vile on TV and then they were getting fired. Yeah, sorry, parents don't want that attitude, that behavior, and that mindset instructing their children who are still very moldable, malleable at this stage and age. So you find out real quick that, yes, you can say it, but it doesn't mean that you're immune from consequences from others. Not now, if it's a threat against the government, that's where the government steps in. But I'm saying, if you say something, you can under freedom of speech. There's people right now that have been burning the flag, saying how much they hate our government, the administration, the country. They're not being arrested for that. But the second maybe their employer finds out, or people that they work with, just colleagues or parents of other kids, that's where your words will have consequences. And I think we just need to take a little more of an approach, and it's probably this, social media generation who doesn't understand that there are consequences because they've been raised on the internet, literally. So when you're raised on the internet and you don't think that there's consequences, that you're immune and untouchable, honey, IP addresses can track everything. You'll be found in 4 seconds and you will have consequences to it. I'm sorry. You just can't go around being a hateful asshole about everything that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And then when you try to step in, and now the attack on churches, that's different in the States, because now that's not freedom of anything. You don't have freedom to do that.
Yeah.
That's a crime. You can't do that. You can say that you don't like it, right? I can say that Islamists here taking over America makes me very uncomfortable because I know that they don't like us, that they don't like Christians, that they don't like our American way of life.
Yeah.
So I just get very weary on, then why do you want to come here? My God, why do you want to, if you know that something you eat is going to make you sick, why are you going to eat it? If you know that you're going to go move somewhere where it's not like you at all, and they have a different way of life and you hate that way of life, why else are you going there other than to try to change everyone to be what you are?
To conquer it.
To conquer it.
Yep.
So it's terrifying.
It is. Islam is fundamentally opposed to American values. They don't believe in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, or freedom of church and state, or mosque and state, if you will. Basically, I also heard it say, I thought it was brilliant, progressivism is a religion disguised as a political ideology, but Islam is a political ideology disguised as a religion. And we're seeing it happen in Europe. The most popular baby names right now in London is Muhammad.
London has fallen, by the way.
Oh, London is a goner.
London has fallen.
It's so sad.
I don't want to go there.
Like, look up, what is it called? It's a whole society a whole community that's been taken over by Islamists, and they are grooming young girls for just absolutely horrific, unspeakable things and trafficking, and it's awful. And in England, you can't, if you say anything that upsets somebody, you get thrown in jail.
Yeah, England's a little different. That's a little wild with even if you like something on social media. I've seen those stories where people are showing up at doors of 13-year-olds to talk to them about what they liked on social media. So very different laws. Definitely not freedom of speech.
No.
Right? We can say anything,
But that's why it was so easy for them to conquer England.
Yeah,
But then you have them trying to build Epic, Texas,
that's true.
where your HOA dues are going to go to the imam. And yeah, I guess technically we have to say that if you're a Christian, you can live here, but you still have to pay your HOA dues to the imam. And if you don't like it, then get the F out.
This is America.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to do this at all, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Oh, Dearbornistan.
Dearbornistan has fallen as well.
Well, because they have a Muslim mayor, and a resident went to the city council and very simply said, hey, the call to prayer 5 times a day, super duper loud, is maybe not for everybody. Can we tone that down? Can we find some kind of middle ground? And the mayor, Abdullah Hamoud, told him, you do not belong in this city. You're an Islamophobe. Get out. In Michigan.
In America, though?
In America.
Right? Is that America? Okay.
And think about if we tried to start a Catholic community somewhere in America where this whole neighborhood, your HOA dues are going to go to the bishop of this diocese. There would be an uproar. People would lose their minds. But somehow this is okay in the name of tolerance.
I think I've been over tolerance for quite a while. Just the concept of you don't want to hurt feelings. You don't want to offend other people. So you're allowing this stuff that you know is fundamentally wrong. Like the Christians we were talking about that just allow it. That maybe they know that abortion and everything we were talking about earlier, all of these bad things that people could be doing, they know that it's wrong. They know that kids shouldn't be taught things and be allowed to go get hormone blockers or whatever the situation may be. And they still don't say anything in the name of not really wanting to push the envelope, not wanting to do any of that. I understand where you say you're not ready to evangelize. I get it. I'm not that person either. But there is a point where now I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about right and wrong.
Yeah.
If you know something is right, if you happen to be of Christian values and faith, you definitely know it more because you've grown up like that, or you've learned it, you've read, you understand. Everyone knows what the golden rule is. We'll make it not religious. But the point is, if you know that something's right and you know that something's wrong, why aren't you standing up for what's right in confronting the things that are wrong? Everyone is so worried about what other people feel and whatever other people think about them and about hurting feelings. I don't give a shit. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You've all pushed us to this moment where everyone has been silent for so long. This started with COVID and it's just kind of progressed. Okay, I'm sorry. During COVID, like, all lives matter. We're not going to just pick one. There are so many things that this is human life you're talking about at the end of the day. When you're bringing religion into it and when you're bringing people who fundamentally believe that your religion and everything you believe is wrong, there's so many things that I just think, at what point, what is it going to take? You just had New York be elected, elected the mayor. What is going to happen? At what point is everyone going to stand up? The beauty, I was saying in the beginning, of everyone opening their Bibles and coming back to God and following Jesus and going back to church and doing all these wonderful things, more so since Charlie Kirk was assassinated live, more so. When are all of those people going to band together, all of us, and just say enough is enough? There's that guy, though, in Dearborn. You've seen him, right? He was like a J6 prisoner. He was in jail. He's running for, I think, governor of Michigan or something.
Oh, interesting.
Love, great. He goes and speaks at all of the city council meetings. There is a point where we have to reevaluate, and who's going to reevaluate who can run for public office in our cities and in our country. Yeah. Because if you have people that are not, like, I don't know, not living the American way of life, hate everything about it, and are very vocal about it, and especially if that's what their faith is based on, I just don't understand how we can't be torn. And then the devil is after all of us, of course, but the devil can get into so many people based on with the veneer of tolerance. Yeah. Because no one will say anything. That's what we've come to. We've come to a place where no one says that it's wrong to assassinate a 31-year-old on TV because he believed different than you. No, in front of the world. Everyone has just become so numb to seeing these things when they open their internets. And then they think that it's, he hated this and he hated that. And they take everything out of context. And that's the whole Charlie Kirk thing. But it awakened so many people and brought them back to Jesus that I'm like, okay, but now we have to fight for your way of life. This isn't just about religion anymore. This is your way of life that's getting taken over. I don't know what I would do. Like, where would I go if Idaho was taken over? Where are you going to go?
Well, we've talked about it so many times that this little experiment of America turned out to be the greatest country. I firmly believe that America is the greatest country. And that doesn't mean, that's like, if you get upset by me saying that, that's like, if I say I love waffles and you turn around and go, well, why do you hate pancakes? Shut the fuck up. That's not what I'm saying. I love America. I think it's great. If you don't love it, you don't have to be here. Our president must be American born. And I know that there are people, foreign born people, who can serve in the military, and that's a great way to earn your citizenship because you're willing to put your life on the line for our country. But really and truly, on a day-to-day basis, the president doesn't affect my life all that much. My governor, my politicians, my congresspeople, my state senators, my city council, all of those people affect my day-to-day life far more than the president. So I don't see any problem saying you need to show some kind of allegiance to America to be able to hold one of those offices where you're actually affecting people's lives on a day-to-day basis.
You have to have allegiance to this country. You can't have allegiance to another country. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's right. But in the name of tolerance, this has been allowed to happen. Yeah. So it's just wild because this affects more than just surface level who's coming into the country because of the open borders, because of the lax policies that we've had the past few years. This affects so much deeper because it's literally this is our way of life. This is how America is the greatest country in the world. Exactly. Number one, because you're even allowed to come in here and do that. Yep. Or or just get by, build a better life for yourself, which is, I'm sure, the reason the majority of these people want to come. A lot of people, the majority of the reason a lot of people want to come to America is to have a better life because you have more opportunity here, whatever it may be. But I can't go to the other countries and have that same opportunity bestowed and given to me. It's not like that. So you should be very grateful and gracious that you have that opportunity here, but it doesn't mean come in here and change everything.
No.
That's a firm pass no for me. No, because we have a way of life, and that's how we're this country, that you were able to have all the opportunity. I'm just more terrified on the deeper level, and this is when I'm clinging more to my faith because I'm so, like, I'm scared. I'm frightened. I don't know what's going to happen because everything just seems so lax. And that's just across the board of the country, but a lot across the world, just when you start looking at all these other places. And these Nigerian Christians terrify me tremendously because nothing's being done about it and we're not being, told really about it. We have to search for that information.
Yeah.
And even then, are we really finding everything we need to find?
No.
Yeah. So I think on a spiritual level, I know that I cling so much more to the conversations I have with God, to prayer. Prayer's huge. I'm so happy that this was the year that I did the Rosary in a Year podcast. And I've kept up and I'm so excited. If I ever fell behind, I just caught back up. And now I'm all caught up. And I'm probably next year, I'll probably do Bible in a year because that's what I'm now craving, but also lacking. Like I need more ammunition for my own faith and brain to know and just be more versed on it. I've never taken the time to read the full Bible. So I feel like it's a good time. It's a really good time. And I'm encouraged that a lot of people are doing it. I really am. There's big influencers on social media that are talking about reading the Bible and how they just started. And they're getting upset, and not really upset, but they're getting a lot of hate comments towards them because of it. And so they're addressing those. And I love that because I think you don't owe anything. If you make a video on social media and people want to follow you and like you, that's amazing. I love that for you. But you don't owe those people anything except being authentically you. So if you want to read the Bible and explore your faith, I think that that's a beautiful thing and that no one should be able to tell you otherwise. So it is good, though, that it's getting, I don't want to say publicity, it's getting exposure. And I think people are just more comfortable to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because they've been so scared.
Yeah. Well, and I think, heck yeah. If you want to open the Bible and read the Bible, read the Bible. If you want to come and to ask me questions, I consider myself a very well catechized Catholic because there are plenty who are not. I actually, within about 6 months of joining the church, went to a cocktail hour with a bunch of gals, and some chick there who I'd never met in my life heard that I was Catholic and decided to sit there and berate me until I finished my drink and left because I was not paying, $15 for a cocktail to just leave it there. And just was really trying to disprove everything that I believe. And I felt pretty proud of myself because I could hold my own in this conversation with her. But it was like, I would never find out that somebody's Jewish or somebody's Baptist or somebody's anything else and tell them why they're wrong. But why does somebody else get to do that for me? That's unacceptable. And it's just gross. But I think that's the devil at work. And it's the evil powers of the world, whether we're talking about the devil or the deep state or the New World Order or whoever, they win by dividing us. And I think asking questions and having conversations is the way to help that out. But also Christians need to stand up in their freaking faith. And that's what Charlie was about, was be strong in your faith. Be courageous in your faith.
Be courageous. Be brave. It just takes a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I think it's so easy to not be brave. I think it's so easy to just stay under the radar.
Somebody else will do it.
Someone else will do it.
Well, there was a story about a lady who got stabbed 17 times in New York. I don't even know when. This was a long time ago. And no one called the police because everyone just assumed that someone else would do it.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers because...
And then you have the situation in New York. What was his name? Daniel?
Daniel Penny, who did stand up for somebody and then got prosecuted for it.
and then they prosecute
And
you.
so they've created, really, whoever, the evil people, have created a world where you get punished for doing the right thing and for standing up for what's right and for protecting people who are weaker than you in whatever realm that may be. And that's not okay. And those of us who are strong in our faith need to really stand up.
What is that called? Because I'm losing the word, where you're having that personal, like almost a personal battle within. Do I do the right thing? But I'm going to get in trouble for it. It's like that.
Like a dilemma?
I feel like there's a bigger word. Okay. So you're having is it dichotomy? Is that the word?
Sure.
There it is. Okay. I can learn things too. You have that where I want to do the right thing, but doing the right thing is going to get me in trouble. I know Revelations and I know all that says in the end, like you will have to do the right thing and it will get you in trouble in the moment, but then you'll have eternal life. And that's a whole different thing. I'm saying now we've been conditioned and taught by everything that's been going on in the world and in society that if you do the right thing, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
What? It's the right thing. But you can go in California and steal up to $1,100 of shit and walk out of a store and it's not a felony until it's about $1,100 or something. That's okay. But if you help someone who's getting attacked and you hurt the attacker or you disarm, maybe fatally hurt the attacker, you will go to jail for doing the right thing, for helping your neighbor, for helping mitigate, fix a bad situation. I just don't understand where we've come. And that's a huge part of this. When I say spiritual warfare, good versus evil, I just think, but everything we've been taught to do in life is now being judged as wrong and you're going to get in trouble for it. And I don't understand. And I really think that people who don't have faith or who are maybe not firm in their faith, they are going to have that internal dilemma. And it's going to be really difficult to comprehend because you think, but God, I'm doing everything that I've read, that you've taught. I'm doing everything. And this is what I'm getting for it. I'm getting in trouble. It's going to make you doubt. And I feel, and I have a lot of doubt that comes into my life every day about random shit all the time. Stupid, petty, whatever it is, it's doubt. And I know that's not of God. And so I try to just stay steadfast in everything that I believe. But I'm telling you, when you see these things, when we talk about these things, you and I have plenty of conversations aside from this where you're trying to wrap your mind around something, taking it back to when we were younger, how this wasn't even a thing. I mean, for us, but we've grown into this world. Let's blame it on tolerance. It's not even blaming it. I'm going to call it out that this is all in the name of tolerance and accommodating everyone else. I'm over it, dude. I go to another country. I'm never fucking accommodated.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not taking a Stanley Cup to Europe. I'm not like you go to experience that culture and to soak that in and to learn something new and to have conversations. That's real tolerance, to go and learn why things are the way they are somewhere else. Learn, why do you eat this kind of food? What is this? What is this? Learn those things about that place. It doesn't mean that you can't appreciate where you came from, but you don't need to go make everywhere your own place. We've been saying that here in Idaho for my whole life. If you want to move here from California, that's fantastic. Welcome in. But don't vote the way you voted there to make this like there. That defeats the whole purpose.
That's why I say I came here for guns and freedom.
Yeah.
Because I did.
And so that's just a smaller scale of this greater like conquest that's trying to happen of the West. And I'm not okay with it.
I'm not either. And I feel a lot of people aren't okay with it.
But we're all afraid. We all generally are all afraid to say we're not okay. Because what happens when you stand up against this tolerance?
You get canceled.
You're a Nazi. You're a racist. You're a blah, 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 a phobe.
I'm just proud of my country and I want to keep it this way. I'm proud of the values that our country has, the majority of people. The foundation of why this country was even made a country. I mean, yes, it is an experiment and it's a great one, but it's also so baby that there is all this room for error. And unfortunately, these are generations that follow us that will reap the repercussions of these experimentations. And I don't want that. I'm not passing on a lineage But you with kids, your future generations to come, this is kind of terrifying in a way that we have to stand up at some point. At some point, do you want to wait till it comes to your door? Or do you want to wait till it comes to your country? I would rather wait till it, like, I wouldn't have wanted it to come to the country at all. But it's in the country. Now let's prevent it from even getting into the state, into the door.
Yeah.
Because once it gets too close, once you give too many allowances to anything, and that's aside from just the religion aspect, that's anything good and bad. When you start to allow, and we've talked about it before, when you go too far, you can identify as a cat. You can't reel it back in.
Yeah.
So when you give too much, like abortion, now you want it till 9 months. Now it's going to be reined back in. You can't ask for an inch and then take 5 miles and expect that the other side that gave you an inch is going to say, well, okay. No, they're going to rein it back in. And now it's going to be all or nothing. So good versus evil is very prevalent in everything. And what we can control the things in our country. We can all stand up. And I think we all need to do that. Use your voice, write whoever you need to write, but stop cowering in the shadows because you don't want to offend someone. Offend them, please. Get back to the 80s and 90s. We were unoffendable. I don't want this tormenting us because we're just trying to live life normal. And if there's only 5 people saying something, but 2,000 won't, no one's going to listen to the 5.
Yep. I think, all the values that our country was founded on, the whole Bill of Rights, I feel like most Americans can agree that those are great principles. I think most Americans who are happy, proud to be Americans, whether they're Christian or not, can agree that the 10 Commandments is a pretty solid set of rules. Even before I was a Christian, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Solid, sounds great. I love it. No notes. So what's wrong with that? Even if you're not a Christian, I think those are all, but don't murder people, don't steal things. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to agree on, and it's not overstepping anything, and it fits really well with our Bill of Rights. So if you like those things, start researching. Look at what else is going on in the world. I know we're all pretty head down working because we can't fucking afford anything anymore, but peek your head up every now and then. Look at what's going on around the world. Go look at London. Go find the news that you can find. Go look at Nigeria. We don't want that here. Whether you're Christian or not, I think you can agree that we don't want that here. Stand up with us.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just stand up. Use your voice.
And if you want to come to church, I'll save you a seat. I'll tell you exactly what's going on, why we're standing, why we're sitting, why we're kneeling. I'll tell you everything that's going on in the Mass. If you have questions, don't ask me Bible study questions because that's not my wheelhouse. But if you have curiosity about any of that, find a person and they'll tell you, they'll take you.
And embrace it also. If you're being called to something, then embrace it.
Yeah. I really hope that there's somebody out there listening who's like hella Baptist, who thinks that Catholics are evil. I dare you to read any Catholic apologetics, because historically, when someone joins the Becoming Catholic program, if someone in their family is like super anti-Catholic, that person will try really hard to prove Catholicism wrong. And they end up being like the best, most enthusiastic converts we ever get.
Nice.
So I dare you, read some Trent Horn, read some Scott Hahn, listen to The Bible in the Year with Father Mike Schmitz, and see what you get out of it.
Yeah.
Either open your mind and do it with an open, joyful heart, or do it to try to prove us wrong.
That's good. Challenge.
Yeah.
Challenge given. Challenge should be accepted from someone. All right. Well, that was a lot.
It was a lot.
They're warranted every now and then.
Yep.
So
we'll get back to fun things.
Yeah. Follow along. You know how to reach us.
All right. Well, have a good day to everyone except the people who park right on the line, making it nearly impossible for you to get into your car in the parking lot.
So we got to go in through the trunk, basically, is what you're saying. Perfect. Have a good day to everyone except you.
Bye.
Bye.